Mount Ararat at 4,630 meters altitude, Part 8. Noah's Ark, in some unknown past and for some unknown reason, fell from its altitude of 4,991 meters into this crevice or cavern at 4,605 meters. In this picture, you see how I believe was the path of the ship's falling from 4,991 meters to then slide down to 4,605 meters. 4,605 meters is the area and cavern where Noah's Ark was present before falling into another cavern next to that cavern, pushed in its fall by a glacier that housed Noah's Ark. So not to cause confusion, the cavern where Noah's Ark once rested I call Cavern 1. The cavern where today the Ark rests is Cavern 2. But there is a problem with this picture on how I pictured Noah's Ark's falling down from its landing spot at 4,991 meters to then fall to 4,605 meters altitude. The problem is those two rock-type hills standing almost in front of that cavern at 4,605 meters, where the ship rested for some time before falling in the other cavern where the ship is present today. Noah's Ark hit both rock hills at its bow and at its rear, explaining the debris field in that cavern at 4,605 meters of the interior of Noah's Ark, but leaving most of the hull of the ship intact, as in these images of the ship in the other cavern next to this one. How could this be possible? I believe that the answer to this mystery would give an idea of how much ice disappeared from the top of Mount Ararat, leaving the ship and debris fields clearly visible through Google Earth. So not to cause confusion between each rock hill, one I called Rock Hill A and the other Rock Hill B. I took some measurements of both rock hills, and the measurements in height are: Rock Hill A has as length 270 meters, as width something around 90 meters, height between 35-50 meters. With Rock Hill B, I took only the measurement of its height, because I believe that Noah's Ark, in its sliding down to the cavern at 4,605 meters, hit the edges of Rock Hill B, explaining the nature of that debris field underneath Rock Hill B. That appears as if the ship's hull was sliced, as if impacting the sharp edges of a large rock that cut through Noah's Ark, opening its side right hull, emptying to the ground of the cavern what appears as a large room or rooms over the rock ground of the cavern. The height of Rock Hill B at the areas where Noah's Ark debris field is present under Rock Hill B has measures in height that vary from 14 to 45 meters. The question is, how did Noah's Ark cross Rock Hill A and Rock Hill B without smashing itself to pieces, to then land in a cavern behind both rock hills with at least most of its hull still intact, that then sometime later, pushed by a glacier, the ship fell inside another cavern next to this one? Both rock hills are almost completely in front of that cavern at 4,605 meters, and by the looks of those debris fields, that debris is not just broken hull of the ship. Logic would have that the ship, when falling down from 4,991 meters to 4,605 meters, would have smashed itself on impact against one or both rock hills, explaining those debris fields at 4,605 meters behind both rock hills. But instead, the ship is present in another cavern, next to the cavern where those debris fields are present, with at least most of its hull still intact. This does not make much sense. Unless the ship crossed over the rock hills to then land in that cavern, hit the rock ground, and hit it hard as to cause its bottom hull to break, spilling over the rock ground the ship's cargo of animal cages, rooms, and floors, and then, through time, a glacier forming in the area and over this cavern covered the whole of Noah's Ark to then push the ship toward the other cavern, having it fall inside of it. This would make sense. But how did Noah's Ark cross over these two rock hills? The answer to this mystery is that when the ship fell from 4,991 meters into this crevice or cavern at 4,605 meters, those two rock hills were completely covered by a glacier. The ship crossed over both rock hills, barely touching the surface of Rock Hill A, brushing over the rock where it left some debris of its bottom hull in this picture, and hitting the edges of Rock Hill B, where its side hull was cut open to then land in the cavern behind both rock hills. Touching both rock hills on Rock Hill A, the ship broke its bottom hull. On Rock Hill B, its right side hull was cut open. Its landing in the cavern behind both rock hills was a hard landing because most of its bottom hull broke off, creating that debris field of most of the ship's bottom hull, along with coloring the rock over all this area with the pitch of the ship and of its insides, it too coated with pitch. Its right side hull broke off from the ship on impact with the rock ground, spilling over the rock ground of the cavern at 4,605 meters, floors, rooms, and animal cages. But there is still another problem with this picture, of how I picture the path of our Noah's Ark sliding down from the altitude of 4,991 meters into this crevice or cavern at 4,605 meters. The problem is the debris field it created, with many buildings standing up, though with their roofs collapsed, when instead one would expect to see a debris of everything broken into pieces. I believe that the glacier that covered both rock hills, A and B, expanded its growth, reaching the cavern where Noah's Ark rested after its fall, gradually pushed the ship on its right side, causing the ship to spill its cargo over the cavern's ground from its right side and bottom hull broken. The Ark, pushed by a glacier, continued to spill material from the ship over the ground, explaining why the width of that debris field has a width greater than the ship's width. Today, much of that glacier over both rock hills is gone, and this will give an idea how much ice, probably even recently, and because of global warming, disappeared from the top of Mount Ararat, exposing the debris field of one cavern the whole of the ship in the cavern next to that one, the 2 rock hills, the 2 rooms, the path of timber, and a part of the front side of Noah's Ark at 4,991 meters. How much of that glacier that covers the top of Mount Ararat disappeared? From the height of both rock hills, I would say that at least 40-50 meters of the height of that glacier disappeared from Mount Ararat. At this rate, Mount Ararat will be ice-free within a year or less.